My player of the year is... Yo, and welcome to the t.o.t.y predictions for 2025. Now, I am repping a Brisbane Broncos finals tee, so either right now when you're seeing this video, I am either A, crying myself to sleep, or B, celebrating really hard that we're going to a grand final. Probably the first one, if I'm being completely real with you. But yeah, I did this video last year, and this actually prompted me to do more discussion videos on the channel, but though I actually haven't been actually going through with that, honestly, a lot has changed this year, and I've not been able to do what I've wanted to do, but at least I'm going to do the t.o.t.y predictions, because I did pretty decently last year, and although this year I'm probably going to have a couple of controversial choices, some of the selections this year that the NRL have done, I'm actually quite keen to hear the reasoning behind those, but we're probably never going to find out. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below what you think will be the t.o.t.y Team of the Year. So without further ado, let's get into it. Fullback, the guy that runs around at the back of the ball. So for fullback, I've actually decided to go with the Roosters' James Tedesco. Now, at the start of the season, when they had that first game against Brisbane, I legitimately thought Roosters were not going to make the A. And surprisingly, they just barely scraped in. And I actually kind of credit that towards James Tedesco. He's probably been, out of all of the fullbacks here, the most consistent this year. And though he has had a few garbage games and a few really good games, the good games kind of outshine the bad games. If I'm being real, if it was just the back end of the season that the t.o.t.ys were predicted on, I'd probably actually go with Reece Walsh, because he has been in form since he lost Adam Reynolds and Ezra Bam in his spine. But he's also had some good moments even at the beginning of the season. Not all good, but as the season progresses, he's gone from more worse plays to more good plays. So you can definitely see, you can probably take 2025 and measure Reece Walsh's progression from day one to the final day, and honestly, it does reflect. James Tedesco as well almost won the t.o.t.y last year as well, and honestly, if he did win the whole thing, I probably would have rioted, if I'm being real. So I'm going with James Tedesco. Out of all of the players on that list, he is the most consistent, but I do see Reece Walsh challenging that. Wingers, they have wings, if you know what I mean. So for the wingers, there's actually a few good choices here, and I've decided to actually go with Xavier Coates from the Storm and Nawaka Nitawase. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. Both of these guys have honestly had a really stellar year, and both of these deserve the t.o.t.y. Now, any of the wingers could probably win in this category, but I'm going to go with Xavier Coates and Martin. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that again. But basically, Xavier Coates and Mark basically are the ones that essentially will... I feel like they've been the better wingers out of all of the group this year. Centers, they centered the team. For centers of the year, I've decided to go with both Herbie Farnworth and Tony Staggs. I'm going with the center pairings of the 2023 grand final for the Broncos. Now, I'll start off with Herbie. Now, as you already know, the Dolphins actually had the best attack this year, putting multiple 50s on multiple different teams. Herbie Farnworth did contribute to a good chunk of the attack. Herbie Farnworth was almost their best player until he got injured in that Warriors game. And then since he got injured, the Dolphins unfortunately just went down on a bit of a free fall. So I'm going to go with Herbie for one of the centers. If his injury happened earlier in the season and he didn't return, I actually probably would have gone with a different player, but I definitely think Herbie deserves another center of the year. He got it last year and the year before, so I definitely think he's going to get it again this year. The other one, and probably the more controversial of the two that I've picked, is Tony Staggs. And I'm just going to be real. I don't think this guy gets enough credit. Now, he may not have as much points as Casey McLean, but in games, Staggs has always had a way of breaking the defense. And honestly, outside of Reece Walsh, Staggs has been their best player in terms of breaking defense. And it's just giving me 2023 flashbacks right now. God damn it. 5'8", the guy that is in the shadow of the halfback. I actually think this award's going to come down to two players, and honestly, I'm probably going to go with the more surprising one of the two. In my opinion, I think this award will come down to both Cameron Munster and Ethan Strange, and just because the Raiders have been performing well this year, I am going to go with Ethan Strange. Also, Ethan Strange has actually been in more games than Cameron Munster, so I'm probably just going to go on that. But quite honestly, either one of those could probably win. I do think Munster has a good shot of winning 5/8 of the year and has been involved with just as many, if not more, players than Strange has. But the reason I am going with Ethan Strange over Munster is because the fact that he was one of the two halves that led Canberra to a maiden minor premiership. Ethan Strange has been involved in some very solid wins throughout the season, including the big win against the Eels up in Darwin, and even upsetting the Broncos at the beginning of the season as well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, with 5/8 of the year, I'm going with Ethan Strange. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Cameron Munster wins this one. Halfback. He likes to back up to the halfway point. These jokes are getting way out of hand. Now, honestly, I feel like the halfback of the year is the biggest one of them all, aside from the player of the year. So if you win halfback of the year, I do think that's a big achievement in itself. There are actually 3 really good nominees in this one, including Cleary, Fogarty, and Isaiah Katoa. And if you guys are wondering who I'm going to go with, I'm actually, could be a little biased here, but I'm actually going to go with Isaiah Katoa. Now, I probably will say that it's going to be close between Isaiah Katoa and Nathan Cleary. However, the thing is that Isaiah Katoa had a really good first half of the season, while Nathan Cleary had a really good second half of the season. So honestly, they kind of flip each other a little bit. Honestly, if you combine the players together, they probably make the best halfback ever. But the reason I'm going with Isaiah Katoa is mainly because of the Dolphins' attacking stance this year. And for those who don't know, the Dolphins are actually the best attacking team within the entire comp this year. And that is mainly thanks to Isaiah Katoa. But let's be real, Isaiah Katoa has been involved in some pretty hefty wins over the season, including big wins over the Bulldogs, Dragons, Cowboys, and the Bunnies. Oh, and also the minor premiers and mainly rested Raiders, but was also involved in some massive upset wins against the Storm and, well, the Panthers. Not to mention Isaiah Katoa is much younger than Nathan Cleary and is making the plays that he is right now. I legit think Katoa will be in the discussion for New South Wales halfback next year after Cleary's performance in State of Origin this year. Katoa, a lot of the wins that the Dolphins had this year, if you take Katoa out of that side, the Dolphins don't even get close. So I'm going with Isaiah Katoa for halfback of the year. Hooker. Do I even need to make a joke here? Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. These 3 players that have been nominated for this position, they're very lucky Harry Grant was suspended for 2 games. Harry Grant wins entirely, like just hands down. I think Harry Grant is the hooker of the year. Unfortunately, he's been suspended. So I'm going with Blake Brayley from the Sharks. Now, props. It's what you use in a movie as an object. I am actually very happy with this one because honestly, though, I'm going to go with Payne Haas from the Broncos because honestly, this guy is a workhorse. But the other player that I'm going with, I'm happy to say that I think the Tigers will finally have a player in the team of the year after, what, 5 years? And that is, I'm going with Terrell May from the Tigers for prop of the year. To be honest, I think the signing of the year is definitely Terrell May, which we all thought it was going to be Jerome Luai, but here we are. Tigers have just picked up a monster prop. Also, this could be biased because Terrell May did come into a stream of mine a few months back when Rugby League 26 came out. But at the same time, he has been absolutely monumental to the Tigers' success this year. And though the Tigers didn't make the 8, the Tigers should be absolutely proud of themselves. And I definitely think Terrell May is definitely one of the reasons why. So that's a very good signing. But enough of talking about Terrell May. Let's also talk about Payne Haas as well, because Payne Haas, boy, he deserves to be back here. Let's be real. Payne Haas, on the other hand, has turned up for most games during the regular season, even powering through injury. God, you could put this guy through a wood chipper and break both his kneecaps and even decapitate his arm, and the guy will still just say, oh, it's just a flesh wound, and give a man of the match performance. For real, though I think Staggs is the best Broncos player this year outside of Reece Walsh, Payne Haas has definitely delivered. Honestly, there's been a couple of bad plays for the Broncos, but yeah. But yeah, for my props of the year, I'm going Terrell May and Payne Haas. Second row, the most forgettable position in the entire comp. No, I legit forget that this position exists, and that's when I remember that Liam Martin exists. But I've not picked him. In fact, I've gone with 2 easy ones. I've gone Elisa Katoa from the Storm and Hudson Young from the Raiders. Hudson Young started the year with a punch-up in a Vegas elevator, but then had a big year and was a massive part in securing the Raiders minor premiership. Hudson Young has helped contribute to the wins and big hit-ups that has seen the Raiders go as well as they did, and Alyssa Katoa has honestly been one of the most consistent players this year. Honestly, Halasimia had a big back end of the season, and let's be real, like some of the Warriors wins that they got, it was because of him. And lock. It's a bit of a lock. Sorry for the joke, but I'm going with Isaiah Yo. Now, Isaiah Yo won it last year, but during Penrith's downtime at the start of the year, I think he was one of the shining lights of the Penrith woes during that period. I also think sometimes he could have shockers of games, but he does contribute, and there are even times where Penrith win and I go, bloody yo. But honestly, kind of from a lock perspective, Isaiah Yo just does add to that Penrith team, and he's always in contention for the lock of the year, and quite honestly, it does reflect. So that's it for the team of the year. So let's get into the other awards that the Dali M's will actually show. Rookie of the Year. I'm going to be real. I really wanted to put Robert Toya for this one, but honestly, Origin doesn't count, so that kind of sucks. But instead, I've gone with Isaiah Yongi from the Eels. Though the Eels were very low on the ladder this year, they found a good fullback replacement. Now, it's obviously going to be hard to follow in the footstep of the king that is Gutherson, but Isaiah Yongi took that opportunity with two hands and was able to be part of the Eels' rebuild and went on a good run when Moses returned. Captain of the Year. Look, I'm going to be real. I think Tedesco and Crichton can definitely pick this up, but Cleary just wins this. Remember earlier in the season when Penrith were down to last on the ladder, then suddenly surged into the top 8 come the end of the season? Well, that kind of gives you the credentials that Cleary has. To pull your team up from the depths of the bottom, to bring them not only just to the top, but potentially a grand final appearance, that takes some deep leadership. Let's be real. And honestly, I think he's kind of simplified his game for the other players around him. But at the same time, I feel like that's just going to take a lot of mentality in terms of leadership. Coach, the guy who actually tells the people what to do. So I'm actually going to go with Ricky Stewart from the Raiders. And hi there, post-editing Matt here. I've actually decided I'm going to change this answer. Now, instead of Ricky Stewart, I'm actually going to go with Michael Maguire. Because the fact that in his rookie season as coach of the Brisbane Broncos, he was not only able to get the team to a grand final, but also was able to topple what was basically the best team this decade in the Penrith Panthers. And quite honestly, that is a big coaching achievement for Michael Maguire. This guy has gone from underachieving at the Tigers to finishing in the Pacific Championships, getting a win over Australia, going to coach the Blues and actually getting a dub over Queensland. And not only that, now gets to redeem himself and potentially get a grand final win. That is absolutely outstanding for Michael Maguire. And though Ricky Stewart has definitely done an impressive season this year, I think it's more impressive to coach a team that basically wasn't yours from a bottom 9 position to a grand final appearance. I think that's an achievement in itself. Now we've reached the part of the video I think everyone's been waiting for, and that is the Player of the Year. And before I reveal my Player of the Year, I want to encourage you, if you have been enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like on the video and comment down your Team of the Year and subscribe. Also, I should point out that later this week, after the Dali M's have been decided, I am also going to be revealing my Team of the Year, which doesn't have any guidelines or anything like that. And honestly, I've picked some really interesting choices this year, which I'm really keen to get into. So, my Player of the Year is not James Tedesco, but it's Isaiah Katoa. And I know what you're doing right now. You're going to go straight to the comments and be like, Matt, why are you picking Isaiah Katoa over James Tedesco? Well, sit tight and let me explain. While James Tedesco has delivered another brilliant season for the Roosters, who were predicted to even miss the top 8 at the beginning of the year, Isaiah Katoa was the driving force behind the Dolphins' potent attack this year. Despite key losses, including games and players, preventing them from making the top 8, Katoa was responsible for most of their points, making this season a massive success for the Dolphins as one of the league's best attacking sides. His game management was top class, and when he is on the field, the Dolphins thrived. In contrast to Tedesco's excellence and finishing statistics like tries and tackle busts, Katoa's superior game management truly sets him apart from the rest of the players this year. And let's be real, I know that might be a little biased of me to say this, but Isaiah Katoa has definitely stepped up in terms of his standards this year, in my opinion anyway. So do you think I'm wrong about that? Comment down below. I'm happy to have a discussion about it. And that's going to do it for my Dali M predictions for 2025. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.